Hello, everyone. My name is Brennan Marr, and that noise you're hearing is my ventilator. And welcome to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. Today we're going to talk about Lando. Yes. Lando Calrissian, you old smoothie, to quote Han Solo. So let us begin with the chronology of Lando's life as seen in the Star Wars movies. We first meet Lando chronologically at the Lodge on Vandor. Tobias Beckett, Han Solo, Kira, and Chewbacca have come up with a plan, or had come up with a plan, to get unrefined coaxium from Kessel and get it to the refinery on Savareen before it exploded. They needed a fast ship. Thankfully, Kira claimed to know a guy who had a fast ship. And that guy was Lando Calrissian. After playing a few hands of sabacc with Lando, Han and the others were able to recruit him to their cause. He didn't care much for Han when he first met him, thinking he was just this annoying little kid. It's probably similar to what Francis Ford Coppola thought of George Lucas when they first met, when they first worked together. Though admittedly, it was a sort of in fun in their case. Lando, of course, decided to take the job probably because he was charmed by Kira's beauty, and two, he was grateful to Tobias Beckett for having caused the death of Aurra Sing. Aurra Sing is a bounty hunter who appears briefly in Phantom Menace, by the way. So, having recruited Lando, they headed out on their mission. They got to Kessel, caused a droid revolution and slave breakout. But unfortunately, Lando's sidekick, the droid L337, with whom, well, I don't know if Lando was in love with her, but she was in love with him. Very heartbroken that she was basically destroyed during the breakout from Kessel. But her mind was uploaded to the Falcon's computer. The Falcon, the Millennium Falcon, which was the fast ship that belonged to Lando Calrissian, was in quite a pristine state when we first see it. It had a bar. It had a closet full of capes, which Kira rather enjoyed. It was definitely more of a smooth kind of guy's spaceship. This would not be the case in the hands of Han Solo. After the successful Kessel run, which broke the record and took our heroes to Savareen, Lando, whose ship had been banged up by this adventure, left in a huff, saying that he never wanted to see Han again. After everything was concluded on Savareen, Han tracked down Lando at another sabacc game, card game, and won the Millennium Falcon from Lando. Han then set off to start work for Jabba the Hutt on Tatooine. And that was the last we see of Lando, losing his ship to Han. Now, 13 years later, Han and Leia, escaping from the Empire after the defeat at Echo Base on Hoth, were looking for a place to lie low and hide from the Empire. They went to Cloud City, which at the time was owned by Lando Calrissian. Something had happened between Han and Lando. In the years between the events of Solo, A Star Wars Story, and the events of The Empire Strikes Back, we don't really know the details there. But they left on rather not friendly terms, to say the least. But of course, Lando was willing to be hospitable to Han and Leia and the others. However, the Empire had set up shop in Cloud City. And Lando, unfortunately, because the entire city was at risk, had to betray his friend into the hands of the Empire. But Lando's conscience got the best of him. And he changed his mind and turned his tables on the Empire after Darth Vader kept altering the deal. Lando helped Leia and Chewbacca and the droids escape, but they were unable to prevent Han from being frozen in carbonite. Han joined our heroes as they escaped, but when Leia sensed that Luke, who had just been defeated by Darth Vader, that Luke needed them to go and rescue him, Leia wanted to turn the ship around. Lando protested, but Chewbacca, trusting in Leia's judgment and trusting in her intuition, growled at Lando. And Lando reluctantly agreed. They went and they rescued Luke, with Lando actually going up top on the ship to rescue Luke himself. And then, when Luke and Leia were recovering on the medical frigate with the rebel fleet in the furthest reaches of the galaxy, Lando and Chewbacca set off to start a plan to find and rescue Han Solo. We then jump to a year later. Lando, in disguise as one of the guards at Jabba's palace, is present when Leia, disguised as the bounty hunter Boushh, brings Chewbacca in to collect a bounty as part of her ruse to get into Jabba's palace. Leia thaws Han out of the carbonite, but their escape is foiled by Jabba and his minions who are hiding in wait. Lando, still pretending to be one of the palace guards, is part of the group of Jabba's henchmen who arrest our heroes. Luke arrives, but is sent into the into the Rancor pit, but manages to kill the Rancor. A flabbergasted Jabba orders the execution of Han and Luke by casting them into the pit of Carkoon, where the Sarlacc lives and where they will be slowly digested over 1,000 years. There is further description of how that works, which is horrifying. That can be found in Star Wars Legends and canon material. Lando, of course, continuing his disguise, travels on a skiff on those little floaters as Jabba's sail barge travels to the pit of Carkoon. But Luke's plan set in motion, which is actually ridiculously complicated, springs into action, with R2-D2 shooting Luke's lightsaber to him. Luke's new lightsaber, Lando then casts off his disguise and assists in the defeat of Jabba's troops. But Lando falls and is nearly eaten by the Sarlacc, but a nearly blind Han Solo makes a good blaster shot that frees Lando from the tentacle of the Sarlacc monster. Lando is rescued. Luke and Leia destroy Jabba's sail barge, and they all leave victorious that Han has been rescued. In what was surely one of the most ridiculous rescue plans of all time. Lando, somewhere in between the events of The Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, led to a great rebel victory at the Battle of Tanab. He is then made a general. The next we see of Lando after the rescue on Tatooine is at the rebel briefing on the rebel flagship. The flagship is just called Home One, which I think is its call sign. I think the ship actually has a name. Lando had volunteered to lead the fighter attack on the second Death Star, while Han and the strike team go and deactivate the shield on the moon of Endor, or deactivate the shield generator. Lando, flying the Falcon with Nien Nunb as his co-pilot, leads the attack. With the help of the Ewoks, our ground troops are able to destroy the shield generator. Lando, of course, was the one who deduced that the Empire knew they were coming. The idea was a surprise attack. But Lando, when he figured out that the Empire was jamming their transmissions, figures out that the Empire knew they were coming. And is the first to figure out that it is indeed a trap. The Emperor gloats to Luke that he's the one who allowed the rebels to know where the shield generator was, so he could lure them into a trap. Lando deduces this and orders all the fighters to steer away from the Death Star, which they do because if they had flown right at it, they would have hit the shield and probably been destroyed. So it was Lando's good thinking that saved the rebel fleet. Now, of course, the Emperor did not count on the help of the Ewoks, nor did he count on the fact that the Empire did not really know the territory of the forest moon. Know the territory of the forest moon of Endor very well, which allows the Empire to be defeated. Also because the Ewoks know a way to the back door of the shield generator. Something that the Emperor yet again didn't count on. Once the shield is down, Lando leads a couple of brave fighters down the tunnels of the still incomplete Death Star, which are big enough to fly a ship the size of the Falcon through. We'll just go with the logic on that one. And they are able to destroy the reactor with Wedge's help. Wedge destroys the power regulator, and the Falcon destroys the main reactor. Then, of course, our heroes escape, barely, with flames of the exploding Death Star about to engulf them. Lando flies through the flames, screaming, "Yeehaw!" Or "Yaha!" Or I forget exactly how he does it. As they escape, as the Death Star explodes, and the rebels have their victory. And Lando is last seen celebrating with our heroes, with the Ewoks on the forest moon of Endor, after the defeat of the Empire in one of the greatest battles in Star Wars history. Now, we know that Lando will be returning in The Rise of Skywalker, which is very exciting to have Billy Dee back. So let's talk about Lando. Billy Dee Williams brings so much personality to this character. Now, there have been a lot of jokes about Lando being a little bit dated. Maybe a little bit too 70s. a little bit of that with his capes and with his various outfits and mannerisms, but he's certainly become a beloved character. Lando, we all know, is a smooth talker, a ladies' man, an entrepreneur who's always got some harebrained scheme up his sleeve. Kind of makes you wonder what he's been doing with himself in the 30 years between Return of the Jedi and the new films. I'm thinking, and I don't know for sure, that he is healing, that maybe he's running a shipyard of some sort. And maybe he comes into The Rise of Skywalker having assisted the Resistance in rebuilding their forces. I imagine he was probably one of those who heard Leia's call for help. But maybe he wasn't in a position to help at that time. We don't know how much time has elapsed between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. But I imagine that Lando's going to play a role in helping our heroes put together the forces they need for a final confrontation with the First Order, if that is indeed what's going to happen. It's exciting to have Billy Dee back. He was marvelous in the original trilogy, bringing just so much flair and personality and flavor to the Star Wars universe, and also diversity. In the original trilogy, Lando is the only person of color to have a major role. Quite interesting. I mean, nowadays, Star Wars is definitely more diverse in terms of racial diversity. At the time, though, that was quite a step forward for Star Wars. Billy Dee was marvelous, and I'm so glad he's back. Because as far as I'm concerned, Billy Dee is Lando. Now, Donald Glover. Donald Glover played Lando in Solo: A Star Wars Story. Donald Glover was fantastic in the role. I remember that some fans had discussed that Donald Glover, aka Childish Gambino, would be perfect to play young Lando. That wish ended up coming true, and it ended up being perfect casting. He didn't just do an impression of Billy Dee, but he had the same sense of swag, the same sense of style, the same general feeling that Billy Dee brought to the role, and that's hard. Because, as I said, Billy Dee is Lando, and vice versa. It's very hard to have somebody come in and try to pick up on that without seeming jarring in the role. And Donald Glover is fantastic. So congratulations to him. He brings so much to the character. I enjoyed Alden Ehrenreich as Han, but he didn't feel as close to the original character as Donald Glover's Lando felt to Billy Dee's Lando. So, well done, Donald. Great job. I had first seen Donald in The Martian, and when people were talking about casting him as Lando, I said, yeah, I could see it, even though the character is completely different. I just looked at a picture of him and went, yeah, I could see that. So well done, Lucasfilm, for hiring Donald Glover. Lando is a character that I love. I just love how his style that he brought to Star Wars. Almost a blaxploitation film if I dare say it. 70s sort of, black Vogue kind of feel. But I think it worked in its own strange way. Star Wars is always about weird stuff. But I think that just how much we as a fan base have embraced Lando is really a testament not only to Billy Dee, but a testament to the character. So I'm very glad to have him return. I like this character very much, and I knew that as soon as Force Awakens was on its way, people were saying, "Where's Lando? Where's Lando?" Even Billy Dee was saying, "Where's Lando?" I knew that he was going to come back at some point in the trilogy. Or at least I had a good feeling that he would, because it would be ludicrous not to. Because we knew that Billy Dee wanted to come back. So I'm very glad. I'm glad to see what comes along. I just really hope, crossing my fingers, that he is not Finn's dad. If it works in the story, fine, but I just really think that would be really out of place, and there's no need to make the characters of color all related to each other. So, but regardless, I'm glad Billy Dee's back. And I look forward to what Lando will bring to us in The Rise of Skywalker. So those are my thoughts on that old smoothie himself, Lando Calrissian. The master of harebrained entrepreneurial schemes. He describes himself in an episode of Star Wars Rebels as not a smuggler, but a galactic entrepreneur. He definitely is, and brings so much to this galaxy far, far away. So those are my thoughts on the great Lando Calrissian. Let me know what you think about this character. My name is Brendan Moore. That noise you hear is my ventilator. And thank you for listening to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. May the Force be with you.